Hello. Well, hello. Good morning and welcome to Old People This Week. My name is Jeff, and that handsome rascal next to me, that is Mike.
Hi, Jeff. Hi, everyone.
Good morning. We are your hosts. Both Mike and I were born after World War II, but before Vietnam. I still work. Mike sort of works. He pretends to work. This podcast is for 60-year-old plus people who are active, cool, with it. If you're of the I'm falling down and can't get up school of aging, then this podcast probably isn't for you. Every week, Mike and I give you the information, some dirt, and of course, our take on the news stories that you'll need to know before you head into the weekend. This isn't headline news. You can get that anywhere. This is the kind of news that will make you sound smart when you meet your friends for coffee, go out to the gym, or, of course, at happy hour.
Happy hour.
You can email us with your question, comments, or just tell us to go to hell at oldpeoplethisweek@gmail.com. I wanted to start off by saying something that just struck me this morning. I wanted to show you a little show and tell. This is a toothpaste by Colgate called Total. But the amazing thing is, I just got this, that it's actually comes out black. Comes out black.
Please no.
It's got charcoal in it, and and yet it works. It's 24-hour antibacterial protection, whitening plus charcoal. So for all of you who've tried this, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, get it. It's amazing. I don't know. I honestly, it's not sold by some obscure company or only online or something. This is a Colgate purchase at CVS. So it's not a weird thing, too weird. It is weird, but it's not terribly weird.
No, it's formulated by let's try this and see if it'll sell committee.
Yeah. I'm the guinea pig.
Yeah.
The one thing that pissed me off this weekend, other than my sports teams getting pummeled everywhere, was an article I read in the New York Times magazine, or I saw in the New York Times somewhere, where they Hulu, the streaming service, has purchased all the episodes of the old TV series L.A. Law, and they're going to run them. Okay, and so and there's like 140 episodes, and what they did was they let some millennials and Gen Xers look at several episodes and ask them to comment on it. Now, I get it that it's extremely dated. The hairstyles are dated. The suit coats the men wear with the padding dated. The dresses on the women are dated. The attitudes are dated. It's a hoot to watch in 2023.
Harry Hamlin looks like he's 12 years old.
Yeah, and Susan Day. They all look very young. But what pissed me off was that was one of the reactions of these Gen Xers and millennials to, as they put it, people running around the offices on the show with manila envelopes and little slips of paper that say who called. Remember the pink slips?
Phone messages, yeah.
Yeah. Literally unimaginable. How cute for words. Did people realize how adorable they were? And the answer was they did not. And there was no computers either. They made fun of that. So I took this as being for a millennial to say that is try going back to 1985 and do business in a world in which there was no computers and no cell phones, and see if you can see if it's so much fun to make fun of nowadays. You stand upon our shoulders because the boomers came up with computers and gave you the access that you have nowadays to all this technology.
Yeah, we're the ones with black fingertips from the multi-page carbon forms that we used to have to write through, right?
Yeah. I have a picture, maybe if I find it, I'll actually show it, that was taken in 1980, I'd say 83, 84, somewhere in there, at an office I was working at, my first television job. And on each desk was an IBM Selectric and an ashtray. And the guy, one of the guys in the picture, he would smoke in the office all day long.
Yeah.
And it was a small office. But at any rate, but that annoyed me that the generations after us find that so funny what we did and so cute that we had to work in that world. Well, thank you, because we gave you a new world to work in.
Yeah. Well, those of them who walk around with their noses stuck in a phone as they cross an intersection, every once in a while pay the price for their obsession. So
yeah, that's true. We get to enjoy that. Anyways, back to a little bit more television information before we move on. I mentioned to you that I'd read that article about Flo from the Progressive insurance
ads. Yeah.
And it turns out that Flo is 53 years old, has been doing this for 15 years, since she was 38, and is a multimillionaire because of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's institutional. They're so corny. They're good, and you can't wait to see the next one.
Yeah, they're actually well done. They're well made, and they've surrounded her with some other people that are other actors.
I love Jamie.
Jamie, yeah.
The current one, when they're in the apple orchard, and he can't pull the axe out.
He can't pull the axe out of the tree stump, yeah. And the farmer's going, are we talking about apples, or are we talking about insurance? Yeah. So her name is Stephanie Courtney, and she's from Los Angeles, and she works every week. She does improv with the Groundlings, and nobody recognizes her, but she's a hugely successful actress.
Yeah, and the ads would not be the same without her.
She brings something to it, and when she dresses up as her own sister and her grandmother, and so
the sister character is great.
Yeah, rich and stuck up and ridiculous. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, that's the TV portion, the media portion of today's podcast. But the more serious thing I wanted to get into was what I read about called menopause.
Oh, no.
So menopause for women, we know, is a point that starts roughly 12 months after a woman has her last period. And they go through some changes. For men, there is menopause, and the symptoms are mood swings and irritability, which I suffered from since I've been 8 years old, so it didn't matter. Dry, thinning skin, which I have found I have. There's no getting around it. As a matter of fact, for the dry skin, there's a thing called Gold Bond.
Oh, please. Is it charcoal black as well?
No, this is just softening foot cream that my wife makes me put on.
Are you broadcasting? Are you broadcasting from your bathroom right now? Or
No.
You have all these tubes at hand.
Yeah, I know. I brought them in here for show and tell. Another delightful part of menopause is erectile dysfunction, excessive sweating, fatigue, hot flashes. I don't get hot flashes. Increased fat around the chest and abdomen, loss of muscle and bone mass, lower sex drive, reduced concentration, and sleep problems. So there you are, Mike. That's us.
Now I know what's wrong with me.
Yeah,
I don't sleep well. I'm irritable, and I have a little belly fat.
Yeah. So guess what? It's called menopause.
Menopause, great.
Get used to it.
I've been searching for the term.
Well, now we can tell our wives that we are suffering from menopause.
That's right.
And you
That's
think
right.
they'll
Leave
give
me
us
alone. Yeah.
They will have no sympathy for us, by the way. None. To move on to, speaking of menopause, now it's a time, of course, to talk about The Golden Bachelor, which, by the way, this will be back on the air this Thursday. Yeah.
That's the Golden Rose, right?
I think so. I think this is this may be or should be the last episode. I don't know how much more they can drag this out, but I think this is the last episode.
I'm having withdrawal symptoms this week.
Yeah, I know. It was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. Tough Thanksgiving, a tough Thursday. I gorged myself, but I was thinking about Gary the whole time. So I did some more research on our friend Gary from Indiana. So as you know, he was married for 43 years to his high school sweetheart, Tony, who died suddenly after falling ill from bacterial infection in 2017. He has 2 daughters, 2 granddaughters, and they were ultimately responsible for him landing the gig when they agreed to, or when they convinced him to apply. But the interesting part about the story is that he didn't just apply, say, a year ago in 2022 and then go through the process, vetting process, and appear on the show. They sent in an application in 2015.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So in 2015, on the regular Bachelor, they advertised it then that they were thinking about doing a golden version of it. So the daughters sent in sent an application in, a picture of him in, and they finally got around in 2019 to deciding that they were going to produce what we now are watching in 2023. They went back through these old casting applications they had and found his. So it was, he was technically, you know what, that doesn't make any sense about that though. If that's true, then he applied when he was still married.
Still married.
and his wife was still alive.
Oops.
So they must have had the wrong date. He must have applied in 2000 and somewhere between 2017 and 2019 when they ultimately decided. But it was years ago that they found him, and they said that they got in touch with him and they decided and asked him if he would do a Zoom call. And he didn't know how to do a Zoom call.
I was going to say, would he know that?
And so they evidently, according to the casting directors, it did take him a while to get on screen because he doesn't have a laptop with a camera and he couldn't figure it out at first. But of the thousands of submissions, his tape, it stood out. It was really hard to beat him, he said. It was easy to say yes to Gary. He's so deserving. He's like America's dad, is the way they put it.
Well, you're in media, so is that a normal gestation period for a show?
Maybe at the network level. I always worked in cable television, and we did things a lot quicker. I mean, if we developed a show, we were getting it on the air within the next 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
So I was kind of taken back by that. Also, it said that of the many tests, the battery of tests that they made him take before they would put him on the air, he had to take a FBI background test, a psychological test that was 360 in-depth questions. He had to get an STD test, and he didn't know what that was. And he thought it had something to do with your eyes. So anyway, Gary passed all the tests and made it onto the show, which thankfully.
So here's the next great show to continue the series. Guys who failed any or all of the exams to qualify to be a Golden Bachelor, and bring them all together like they bring the women together who didn't make the cut.
All the rejects.
All the rejects, and then review the reasons each of them didn't make it.
I just, you know what you're saying, what actually would be funny would be to see the failed audition tapes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That would be funny to see some of what they sent in to try to get on the show that didn't make them, or just it was irritating or silly or stupid or ridiculous. That would be fun to see. I wonder if there's a way to find those. I'm going to look online after we get off of this, see if there are any of the audition tapes are on YouTube or something. Maybe we could show one.
Oh God, that'd be great. Now you're still stuck on Teresa being the choice.
Yeah, there's all kind of sites that you can go to where they claim to have the inside info.
Yeah,
meaning somebody on the show or us, one of the bachelors, somebody blabbed about it, or simply that he's actually with the person he chooses and together, and they are seen out in Indiana now. But but most of them say that it's Teresa. So I'm gonna, and I think it's Teresa too. I just think she's a lot less of a hassle for him to go into his twilight years with. And
I'll be heartbroken.
Yeah. Wow.
I want to age. I want to age with a physical, with a PT instructor. I don't want to age with a financial services compliance officer.
Well, Gary has other, he's probably thinking to himself, I don't want to, who knows how crazy Leslie might be in the end, you know. Or,
Yeah.
yeah. So where Teresa looks relatively sane, and we're not going to make him crazy.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, slight departure, but still somewhat in the same vein. Our discussion of FOGO, last time, fear of getting old. My wife has suggested a new term now, and that we don't say we're old or older or getting older, we're aging.
Oh, well, that's,
Another I know. Euphemism.
No, it's right. We are aging. I mean, yeah, that fear of growing old. Yes, aging is a better way to say it. Okay, well, we're going to say that from now on. That we're aging, not getting old. I'm not changing the name of our podcast, though.
Aging, yeah, aging guys.
Yeah.
People scratch their head and go, "What?"
Yeah. And speaking of aging and Gary and getting older, I read this kind of sad article about loneliness. The article is about a guy who's 75 years old, and he put a big sign in his front window, looking or asking for people to be his friend. So his wife passed away like suddenly. By the way, suddenly in this case was she was fine one day, 9 days later she's dead.
Oh my gosh!
And yeah. And then as soon as she passed, he's just feeling socially isolated. So he says that he's gone days without talking to anyone since the wife of his death. And the sign said, "I've lost my Joe." Her name was Joe.
Yeah.
"My lovely wife and social mate. I have no friends or family, no one to talk to. I find the unremitting silence 24 hours a day unbearable torture. Can anyone help?" And he also had business cards made up with that on it.
Oh.
And he passes those business cards out when he goes to the supermarket.
And he put that sign in his window?
Yeah, in his front window. I started thinking about, his name is Tony. I started thinking about Tony and wondering if I could help him. So I did some online research as to how for aging people who are feeling lonely and what you can do about it. And this one psychological site said, number one, smile, even if it feels hard to do.
To whom? You're lonely.
Smile to the mirror in his case. Invite friends over. Keep in touch with people by phone, which is actually probably a good idea. Call your kids, call old friends, call anybody. Call Jake at State Farm and talk on the phone about your insurance policy.
Call Flo. Talk to Flo.
Yeah. Learn to love computers, meaning computer, they're basically saying that'll take your mind off being lonely if you know how to get online. Get involved in local community activities. Fill up your diary. I don't know what you'd fill it up with if you're not seeing anybody. Get out and about, which is obvious. Yes, get out and about. Yeah. And the last one was help others. And this is the one I like because I think that volunteering would be is a good solution if you're lonely. It'll put you with others who are, doing something to help others. Volunteering, being around other people it sounds smart.
Well, you're such a winning personality. You'd be good at it.
It'll open me up.
Your wife is probably going, "No, honey, get on your electric bicycle and ride into the desert for a while."
Yeah. Just stay out there for a time, come back home every once in a while. In England, they have a university of the third age, U3A specifically, in which you can, which offers aging people the chance to learn or do something new. It has no exam, this university. Instead, it gives you a chance to do, play, or learn something you may never have done before, or something you haven't considered doing since you were younger.
Well, here's an American equivalent. It's called learnability quotient. And I only found out about this yesterday. when my wife pointed it out to me, because apparently it's currently one of the things Oprah Winfrey is discussing in her, I guess her recent magazine article or her blog or whatever. And my wife only knows about it because she represents some products that are selected for Oprah's favorite things every year, which is a big deal. But anyway, Oprah's label for this learning a new skill is called learnability quotient for aging people. Learn how to weld, learn how to garden, learn how to cook, learn how to do something technical that you have never done before. So,
well, I'll tell you, just hearing that sounds awesome. I do want Oprah to teach me how to weld. I didn't know Oprah knew how to weld, but
you'd look good in a helmet and a leather apron.
I just want to see Oprah welding something. All right. So as always, there's always some news coming from the great state of Florida. Yeah, and this was not a typical Florida man kind of situation. This was sheriff deputies were summoned to a Florida home to remove an alligator from inside the house. In Santa Rosa County, the sheriff office said deputies responded to a home where the resident was seeking help removing the, as they put it, the unusual house guest. Now I have you should be seeing a picture of that rascal that got into the house, which is kind of funny. But that takes. But yeah. Go ahead.
Hopefully that there were no human remains dangling from its mouth.
Yeah, that was last week's. Yeah.
Last week's alligator.
Yeah. And unidentified. They never. And that's what the article did not say anything about who's
the person, the poor person.
Who the person was. It was just it was a story about the alligator and walking around with some human parts in its mouth. Last but not least, of course, is I sent you this article about this woman in India who was awarded a Guinness World Record for the number of teeth in her mouth. She has 38 teeth in her mouth.
They really count that?
Yeah. Well, as you can see by the picture, she's got just a ton of teeth in there. Right. 6 more teeth in her mouth than the average adult, earning her the record for the most teeth in a person's mouth, quote unquote, no, in parentheses, female. So
female.
Yeah, I guess what they're implying is there's a male version of this Guinness World Record. Who knows how many teeth are in the guy's head? Send
her a tube of your charcoal toothpaste right away.
Oh, she needs it. The amount of work she's got to do in there every morning. Her extra chompers, known as supernumerary teeth, started growing when she was a teenager, and she was initially going to have them removed, but the doctor or dentist told her she should wait until they finished coming in. She says now her name is Kalpana Balan. Kalpana has said that she's decided not to remove the teeth as they don't cause her any pain.
Wonderful.
Hey, so how many teeth does a normal human have?
I have no idea.
Well, it must be, it says she has 6 more teeth in her mouth than the average adult. So the average adult has 32 teeth.
I guess. Yeah. I'm aging, so I had one removed recently.
Yeah, well, that was probably a wisdom tooth, right?
No, it was a tooth that they'd done a root canal on. It didn't work out, so I told them just take it out. No, it was fine.
Yeah, that's crazy. You can have Kalpana Balan send you an extra one then. All right, so we're off for this for the next few days. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll be on next week to discuss, of course, the Golden Bachelor, the Golden Bachelor finale, if indeed is the finale, and to close it out, I'm going to close it out with a quote from Mark Twain: "Age is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter."
And with that, we tap dance off the stage.
Yes, and we'll tap dance. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. See you, everyone. See you, Jeff.